the incredible, the fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, come one and come all to a film you've never seen before. But remember, folks, no refunds.
Hello and welcome to No Refunds, the podcast where we watch bad movies so you don't have to. A Cold North joint. I'm your host, Ben Reynolds, and this week we watched James Wong's 2000 film, Final Destination. Joining me for this fireside discussion, we have Patrick the Law Morris.
Just a little fireside chat.
Check out everything we have going on over at coldnorthpro.com.
What a great website.
And if you like what you hear, leave us a rating and review wherever you found our podcast. And now, Final Destination.
I got this feeling. It's a weird feeling.
The cabin starts to shake, right? And the left side blows up, and then the whole plane just explodes. The plane's gonna explode! It's not a joke! It's not a joke!
We get thrown off the plane all because Brownie has a bad dream?
I saw it.
The plane! It's gonna blow up! It's gonna blow up!
All 287 passengers are feared dead.
Because of you, I'm still alive.
In death, there are no accidents. No coincidences. And no escapes.
Did it happen again? Did you see Todd die?
What if it was our time? What if we were not meant to get off that plane? What if there is a design, then it's not finished?
By walking off the plane, you're cheating death. You have to figure out when it's coming back at you.
What are you, God now?
He knows which one of us is next.
You have a responsibility to tell me.
I knew I should have hit on Tammy in the pool that time.
I'm not gonna let it happen, okay?
Nobody has control over life and death. Unless they are taking lives and causing death.
Each week we start out with the plot. And here we read the plot synopsis that Google spits out when you Google the movie. So for this one, this one's probably not as good as Google's been doing in the last couple.
To be fair, though, Google's on a hot streak.
Google has been on a hot streak, except for Godzilla when it got the wrong movie.
You're never going to let Google forget about that.
Until they hire me to write these plot synopses for them.
Google's that really good 16-year-old boyfriend that got drunk at a party one time last year, and his girlfriend won't let it and he accidentally kissed a hot cheerleader, and his girlfriend just won't let it go.
Yeah, it's true. All right, let's read this plot.
All right.
Alex Browning is embarking on a trip to Paris. Alex experiences a premonition. He sees the plane explode moments after leaving the ground. Alex insists that everyone get off the plane, and 7 people, including Alex, are forced to disembark. All watch as the plane actually explodes in a fireball. He and the other survivors have briefly cheated death, but will not be able to evade their fate for very long. One by one, these fugitives from fate fall victim to the Grim Reaper. Okay, so my first complaint is way too much alliteration.
All right, my complaint is on a much more technical issue. There are 6 people that got off the plane, not 7.
6. Let's see. So there's
Alex, Todd, the teacher, Billy, Carter, and the chick.
Alex, Todd, the teacher, Sean William Scott,
Billy,
Carter,
and Carter's girlfriend. Oh shit, Allie
teacher.
Larder. 7.
Yeah.
Allie Larder. Okay, I'm wrong. I
There's
apologize,
7.
Google. I apologize. But yes,
7 people,
too much
Alex, yeah.
Let's get back to picking that nit about the alliteration. Fuck
yeah,
you,
there's a
Google.
lot of F's. There's a lot of F's in this plot synopsis.
Yeah, this one.
Fugitive, fate, fall victim, fireball. I don't know.
It's too much. Google. You were getting a little wild.
Well, and then going like fall victim to the Grim Reaper. That makes it sound like there's actually a villain in the movie that's like actually the Grim Reaper.
There was no villain in the movie at all,
except for fate itself.
Is that the villain though?
I don't know.
We'll get to it later.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's fairly accurate, but I don't like that they put the Grim Reaper in there, and it should like it's almost like it's trying to be too cute with all that alliteration. So that would be my biggest complaint about it.
It just makes it sound like the movie has way more structure than it actually does.
Yeah.
Because
absolutely.
It's just like the movie is essentially, spoiler alert, one thing is avoided and then a bunch of other stuff happens and then it's over.
Yeah. But that's kind of how you could say that that's basically the plot of any movie.
Yeah, but I mean, this movie is much more of a flat line and no arc, no like character redemption, nothing, just gore.
Yeah, a lot of gore.
And
like
very weirdly paced gore.
Yeah, the scene with the computer screen blowing up and killing the teacher.
Very, I would say gratuitous. But then the scene where Carter's girlfriend dies, just you see nothing.
She just gets plowed by the bus.
Yeah, and then there's some strawberry jelly on people.
Actually, I not to stop. I didn't include this in my half-assed internet research, but apparently they use chocolate syrup.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. If I'm ever on a movie set and someone's bleeding, I'll be like, "Hey, let me get a taste of that." Also,
just sexual harassment.
If I'm ever at a horrible bus accident and people are bleeding, I'll be like, "Yo, let me find out how realistic movies are." So, you never know. Maybe people bleed chocolate blood.
It's possible. All right. Well, I mean, otherwise, I think they didn't include too much and like give away too much plot. And since it's supposed to be a horror movie, it's probably good that it's more of a suspense, I guess, than horror.
Yeah, I don't even know what to call it. Yeah, like it's such a weird movie because it really doesn't define anything that makes a movie. There's no antagonist.
No, I mean, yeah, you could almost say that Alex himself is the antagonist because he has the premonition.
And yeah, but then Clear starts having premonitions later on, like at the end of the movie.
Yeah, that's true.
And so this movie had no rules. There were no rules to this movie, and they kept breaking their own rules, and they didn't give a fuck about it. So
yeah.
Overall, I would say Google C-.
Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, well, let's move on to our questions. And so for each film we go through, we'll revisit these 6 questions to lead our discussion. So the first one we start out with each week was, how bad was it? It was not very good.
Not very good and bad are different. But I would say it's very bad.
Yeah, it was there. There was not a lot going on with. Yeah, it was pretty bad. Definitely.
It was unapologetically bad.
I mean, yeah, and like bad enough that I'm kind of like impressed that they managed to get it. Like they managed to turn it into
a franchise.
Yeah, with like what it had like 4 more films.
Movies? Yeah.
No, 4 more films. So 5 total movies and then novels and comic books as well.
Seriously?
Yeah.
So I think that a lot of this movie, and the reason that this series will never be able to make a comeback, is the existence of that subreddit called Had to Hurt, where it's just, you can just watch people get hurt really badly. And I mean, that shit is all over the internet. And like, really, that's the reason that people watch these movies, I would imagine.
Well, and it's almost, it's like, these kind of were like a precursor to like Saw, which was then really like the ultimate, like just torture porn, which like this was like kind of almost, it's like, here, watch people die in ways that you could maybe actually imagine a person dying. And then Saw is just like, here, watch people saw their fucking legs off.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good comparison. It's a lot like Saw for teenagers. Like, even though it was rated R, it's like PG-13 Saw.
Well, so I mean, it came out in 2000, and the first Saw came out in what, like 2005 or something like that, probably.
2000, yeah, probably. Man, but all right. As long as we're making this comparison, because I don't want to lump Saw 1 in with the rest of the Saw movies.
No, that's true. Saw 1 is nowhere near as like gratuitous torture porn as the other ones. So Saw was 2004.
Okay. So Saw 1, to this day, I defend it as it's a really good thriller movie.
Definitely. I would agree with that, yeah.
Saw 2 through 10 are really bad.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that there were 10.
I just picked a number that's really big because I know there are a lot of them.
The most recent one is like Jigsaw, right? Or something.
Yeah, they did like a character piece on the, like an origin story, I think.
Yeah, something like that. So, okay, so the second one was 2005, 5 years after.
Man, that was a bad movie.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's kind of like what you say, where it's like, well, and there's like, yeah, there's a lot of places, like including 4chan and things like that, where if people want to watch people die, they can just go do it on the internet.
And that's why Final Destination will never come back, because if you want to watch someone die in a horrible accident, it's available on the internet. And I mean, I've seen that stuff, like browsing through the, like, all subreddits. It's not something I'm going to seek out, but I've seen it, like, it's out there. But like Saw, I think could always make a comeback, and it has proven so time and time again, because that's something that you, even like if you wanted to see it on the internet, you're going to have to go to like some pretty serious dark web shit to find that.
Because it would be illegal.
Well,
or it would constitute crimes. Yeah,
it's literally murder.
Yeah, it's like watching snuff porn, basically.
Yeah,
like literal snuff porn, actually. Like, yeah.
It's just us this week, and I feel like we're just so off in the, like, really already out in the weeds talking about snuff porn.
It's true, we are. That's true. All right, well, let's get back to our questions. So, what made it bad? I would say that the single worst thing was probably the dialogue. Like,
oh, really?
I kept thinking about like the worst parts of Contact and like things like that, where it's just like all of a sudden, for no fucking reason, somebody realizes something and shit like that. And it's because like that, Alex just kept literally just being like, oh, clearly this is going this way because of this. Like, and just like everything was like all of Alex's lines were just complete expository like dialogue. Entirely. And it was just like him just like coming to realizations without anything really suggesting it, except for the one conversation with the mortician guy.
Yeah,
which we'll get to him later.
All right. Yeah.
That's that I think is, to me, what made it the worst, or the worst part of it.
That I'm with you. I did notate, like, Alex is acting like a crazy person, because like he's just coming up with these theories, and like, yes, he had that premonition, but
counterpoint.
Okay.
I don't think he was even acting.
Maybe Alex is just a crazy person.
I think that the actor,
Maybe the actor is just a crazy person.
is just terrible.
Maybe they were exploiting a disabled person as that's a pretty serious allegation. But no, so Alex is like, he's like, so if you look at this news report, it shows that the electrical explosion went from this seat, which was clear, to this seat, which was Miss Luton, to this seat, which was me, to this seat, which was Todd, to this seat, which was Carter, to this seat, which was Carter's girlfriend, the blonde who never played any meaningful role.
And then at the end when he's like, oh, but we changed seats. How did I not think of that?
I know. And so every time that something doesn't add up, every time his theory is wrong, he's like, oh, but no, I know I was wrong. I know why I was wrong. And it's because of this. And it's like towards the end of the movie, he's just like, he sounds like a little kid who's just trying to convince you they're right of something that's like, just obviously they have no idea about. Mm-hmm. And it's like, why is anyone taking him seriously at this point? You're dumb as fuck.
I mean, if he had been talking to, that's why all of the people treat him like he's kind of crazy.
But then,
including the FBI agent who is the
Shrek.
Wait, what?
Shrek, Donkey. No, that's Donkey's voice. The FBI agent's name was Shrek.
Donkey was. Oh, his name was Shrek.
Yeah, it was Agent Shrek.
That's funny.
I know, I loved it.
That guy? I like that guy though. Roger Gwenver Smith. Roger Smith. He's like he was also in like Dope and a lot of other good movies. I like him. He's a good actor.
All right.
Roger
Yeah.
Smith. Oh yeah, he's in The Right Thing.
But
All About the Benjamins.
So, but my point is Alex is acting like a fucking crazy person, and yes, most people are treating him as such. But like the FBI is just like, oh yeah, Alex is obviously a murderer, which I'm totally with them on. But why the fuck is Clear and Carter, like even Carter buys into it and they're like, oh yeah, no, this makes sense. Like it's like, I get it if you kind of buy in at first, but then once the order goes wrong, it's like, what? If the order goes wrong, then why do you still believe him? He clearly has no idea what he's talking about.
Well, and then why wouldn't Alex tell Carter or Sean William Scott, Hitchcock, I guess was his last name, why wouldn't he tell them who was actually next in the whole car scene?
Yeah. Like
he's just tell us
it,
who's next, and he's just like holding it in.
Yeah.
And then finally, like the train's coming, and Sean William Scott actually dies, and it's like, oh, it wasn't you, Carter.
Hey, I scared you. By the way, Billy's head is off his body. Like,
well, no, his jaw was still attached, and probably the base of his skull.
A large portion of Billy's head is missing, but I really pranked you. Like. And
that was just a dick move on Alex's part.
Well, that, like, going back to that, like, that whole idea, Alex just turned into such a fucking douchebag over this whole movie. Like, he started off as, like, you know, just a little shit, like, snot-nosed 17-year-old who's
checking the tires to make sure they're safe.
Yeah, oh my God. Alex, do more shit that makes you look fucking guilty. Like, come on. But then, like, throughout the movie, he gets this fucking holier than thou, like, savior type attitude. And it's just like, you're such a fucking prick, Alex. Get the fuck out of here. Nobody likes you.
All right, so it sounds like you might have just told us who your opinion on the worst character, or your opinion on the worst character.
I mean, maybe Alex, maybe Carter. Carter was a major dick.
I notated that Carter was a huge dick, but then the teacher was pretty bad.
All right, sell me on that.
Okay, so like the whole like so when they're going to the like memorial service and Alex just tries to talk to her and she's just like, "Stay away from me! Don't talk to me! You scared me!" or whatever, and just like you're a teacher.
Yeah,
Be more like a teacher
this way. And
yeah, there was a lot of things that the teacher was doing that it was like just like be more like a teacher, like talk to the kid. Like,
she went from like really, really like hot on her students to like ice cold, really quick.
Yeah,
because like at the beginning, I wrote the teacher is openly threatening an innocent person in front of her students. Like, what kind of example?
Oh, when the Hare Krishna guy.
Yeah, when they're in the when they're in the airport,
the terminal.
She's like,
yeah,
and she's like, "Not as sorry as you'll be if you continue harassing my students." And it's like, whoa, that's like really aggressive. You really went 0 to 100 there.
Yeah, and then just like to just be like so cold at the like. Yeah, I wrote teacher was very unprofessional at funeral. Don't talk to me. You scared the hell out of me.
Yeah, she was kind of a bitch.
But then my next note is Alex is going full Alex Jones.
He really is just screaming and making like his face started turning red towards the end. And maybe he gained some weight over the period of filming, but he was looking full on Alex Jones. Maybe that's who Alex Jones is.
In the next scene, he also pulls out that penthouse.
Oh, I know.
And he holds it up, and one of the articles in the penthouse was about penis piercing.
Oh, seriously?
I wrote a note about that, and I was like, my note was he was probably reading the article about penis piercing in that penthouse.
He's probably considering getting his penis pierced. So that was actually, I mean, as long as we're talking about the penthouse scene, that was such a weird way to put nudity in your movie. Like, it's like, it just reeks of a producer going to like Allie Larder and being like, "Hey, Allie, we're going to need you to show your tits in this movie." And she's like, "Fuck no, I'm not doing that. I'll walk off this set right now." And he's like, he like goes back to the executive producers and he's like, "Yeah, we're just going to need to get a penthouse. Like, let's just go get a penthouse."
Yeah, something like that. Fuck. Yeah, that was a weird scene, definitely. But then, like, Todd in the bathroom, Todd's routine in the bathroom is so strange. Like, he's just, like, doing everything, and then just, like starts doing one thing, and then he's like, fuck, I'm going to start shaving. Then he shaves a little bit, cuts himself, and then he's like, I'm going to do something else.
Going to turn the shower on.
Yeah.
And I loved that the water was chasing him around the room. Like, that was such a ridiculous thing. At that point, I was like, okay, so what is the villain? Is the villain the water? Is the villain the universe? Is the villain death? Like, what the fuck is the villain an invisible waterbender monster? Like, what the fuck is going on in this movie? And that's when I really started thinking, like, I'm not ready to say, at that point, I wasn't ready to say it was really bad, but I was like, this movie's fucking weird. Like,
yeah.
And this was this was like a big budget movie back in the day.
It's a pretty decent budget. Not that big, but, so, well, let's pin down our worst character.
Oof.
So right now we've suggested Carter, the teacher, and Alex.
I think we got to
AKA Alex Jones.
AKA Alex Jones, the fat fuck that's on the radio. No, I think we got to rule out Carter because dude had some anger problems, but I mean, like, Alex was a fucking prick and the teacher was way out of line a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty much for the whole movie.
I guess I'm leaning towards Alex just because he was a far more prominent character than the teacher. And he had the whole weird, like, I'm checking the tires to make sure they're safe.
That was so okay. And then he's like, he says in a like very almost threatening way to the police. Let's see. I wrote it down. Alex and Clear got on coffee. Okay. He writes like, Oh, fuck. Alex, the way you're speaking to the cops makes you sound terrible. And I wrote, and it was, quote, "No, I can't. As long as you hold me here, it's out of my control." And it's like, Alex, you're really making yourself sound like a murderer here.
Yeah.
You sound fucking terrible right now.
It's true. It's true.
And like, he was so stupid. Why did he gets released from the police, and then he immediately goes to where he knows someone is going to die, or probably already dead.
Yeah, that was definitely pretty dumb. And then just like booking it and not saying anything to Hitchcock when he's just running.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's pretty funny. Fucking Billy just randomly riding his bike just everywhere in the most convenient times.
He was probably my favorite character. Literally, as soon as Sean William Scott showed up and was late, I was like, I literally wrote down, always down for Sean William Scott.
Always. I love Sean William Scott. We'll get to Sean William Scott in our next question, because I think that's going to be a much easier discussion.
Oh, all right. Yeah, let's all right. So we're saying Alex was the worst.
I mean, based on all of the things that are adding up, and especially the inconsistency of his actions, of like, he spends the whole movie constantly trying to like cheat death, and he's had this premonition and he's trying to change the future. And then the scene in the car where he's like, "Nope, I'm not going to tell you," is entirely against everything he's been doing throughout the movie. And it leads to Billy dying.
Plot twist. Alex Jones is actually Alex Browning, and Alex Jones is trying to convince everybody to live their lives in a specific way because he's seen how it all ends for us all.
Alex Jones has had a premonition of the frogs being gay, evolving, and fucking the humans. And that's why Alex Jones is Alex Browning. He went back in time, starred in this movie, changed his name, had a little bit of plastic surgery, then came back to the present, had to put on a bunch more weight, but then he lost it with all his supplements, and he's buff. Have you seen those pictures?
All right.
It's so yeah,
Alex was the worst character.
Fuck Alex.
So now our next question is, which character was the best / most compelling? I wrote down Undertaker, mostly joking.
Oh, okay. You mean the Mortician? Because when you say Undertaker, I think the Dead Man.
Yeah. I did find the Mortician compelling. He reminds me of the Mortician from Tales from the Hood. That you'll be knee deep in the shit. Oh,
Tales from the Hood. So looking at that whole funeral home scene, like, that was just a fucking weird ass scene. And it was, I recognize that it was so that a character besides Alex could have some exposition dialogue.
Well, and I kind of feel like the Mortician was supposed to be death personified.
Well,
because that's why he says the whole "see you soon" line.
Yeah.
All of that.
That was so weird. And there was a super convenient skylight in the...
That I thought was funny. I was like, they broke into a mortuary? And I was like, why doesn't the Mortician care that they were in there?
Also,
and that's the fact that he didn't care that they were in there, like the whole no harm, no foul thing. Like, I think he was supposed to kind of be death personified.
And, okay, yeah, I'm actually buying into that, because now, like, I noticed while I was watching the movie, like, it's almost like he was expecting them.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like, if you're alone in a building at night, and like two people just randomly are in the same room as you,
drop through a fucking skylight.
Yeah, you're gonna be fucking scared. And he's just like, oh, hey,
especially if it's a mortuary.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they're rising, but they figured out how to open the coolers. But he's just like, hey, let's just have a conversation, be really vague, and imply a lot of things, and then you can go on your way. I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. All right. Well, so he probably wasn't the best character, but he was kind of compelling.
He was compelling, and I would watch the sequel to see clear, because that 6 months between like the incident and then the last scene in the movie, that was good to Claire. That's 6 months. She came
clear. It wasn't Claire.
Yeah,
it's clear.
Clear. She came out of that 6 months looking good.
She came out of the 19 years since this movie looking good.
That's true. She looks way better now.
Like, I mean, I guess plastic surgery is probably the answer, but I don't understand how somebody can look like, I really do think that that Ally Larder looks hotter now than she did in 2000.
Totally. And I mean, maybe it's plastic surgery, but like some women do that. Julie Benz, way hotter on Modern Family than she was in Happy Gilmore.
I didn't even realize that was Julie Benz in Happy Gilmore.
I know, right? She's way.
I haven't seen Happy Gilmore in a long time, but yeah, that's interesting.
But I would watch the sequel to see clear, because she came out of that 6 months looking a lot better. But
it is on Netflix.
I mean, maybe we should just do Final Destination month on the show. But I would also watch the sequel to see Bloodworth, because I want to see what's up with that character. He was compelling.
Yeah. Maybe sometime we should watch Obsessed, because Ally Larder's in that, and so is Beyonce and Idris Elba. That's just a whole lot of sexy.
That's true. That's just pornography at that point. That's a big booty white chick and a bigger booty black chick and a stone cold fox. Idris Elba. But no, as long as we're talking about the best character, I think this is an easy one for us. But Billy,
yeah,
dude was just wholesome, nice, riding his bike at night in convenient places for no reason.
But then the whole, like, he was an idiot at the train at the train scene.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He really just he fell apart right there. Like, he was doing so well, and then he just fell apart.
Yeah, I mean, he did fall apart, but to be fair to Billy, I would fall apart in that situation too.
It's true.
And
is there a better actor to play just like the goofy high school kid ever than Seann William Scott?
So with as wholesome
the goofy class clown,
with as wholesome as this character was written, I think that maybe there were better actors for him.
Well, apparently Billy was originally supposed to be a fat kid, and then they cast Seann William Scott and changed the character.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
I can see Billy being a fat kid more.
Yeah, because I feel like Seann William Scott is kind of the ultimate class clown.
He is Stifler,
like high school class clown, basically.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he's
I mean, and like,
but
I
Role
say that,
Models is an incredible movie too.
I say that I love Seann William Scott. I should just come out and say I love Seann William Scott. I even liked Bulletproof Monk, which is a movie that's totally worth this podcast. But he's aware of his fame when that movie, what was it, like movie 42 or movie 43 came out, and he was like the only star of the movie to show up at the premiere, and he was like saying to reporters and like journalists, he was like, man, like I'm the biggest star you have to talk to. Your night must really fucking suck right now. Like, and so I think with as wholesome as the character was written, maybe there were better actors to play him, but I love Seann William Scott. I liked Billy. He was a nice guy, and he fell off his bike when Carter almost hit him with his car, and that was a dick move, Carter.
Yeah, I also didn't think that Carter seemed like the type of person who would really listen to Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah.
He struck me as more of like kind of a hip hop person for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, I can see that. I get that sense from Carter too. Carter was he was troubled.
Like I feel like Carter would have probably been like the type to listen to something like DMX.
Yeah, Carter is like he's the type that like 5 years post high school, he's either living in a trailer park or doing a short stay in prison, like 6 months.
It's very possible. It's very possible. All right, so Sean William Scott / Billy Hitchcock was the best character.
Oh, totally. I loved Billy.
All right, so was this movie so bad it was good? I think it's pretty.
I'm gonna say yes. There was so much going on, and there was zero explanation for any of it. And the movie, like I said earlier, it was just so unapologetic about it. It was so much just like, this is we don't know what's happening either.
And it is rewatchable.
And
I would say because there's the scene with the fucking screen blowing up and killing the
is hilarious
teacher and stuff. Yeah, you're right. And then the bus scene, that's also pretty hilarious.
I would rewatch it.
No, it's rewatchable. All right, I think you're right. It is so bad it's good.
I would rewatch it just to see the Penthouse article about penis piercings. Like, this movie was bad, but it was definitely bad enough that it was good.
Yeah, it's true. All right, well, so last question: would it have been better as a Netflix / HBO series?
Oh God, no.
I think so. No,
I mean, it basically already is. Just
with
like
4 movies.
Yeah, five movies, and because there was Final Destination, Final Destination 2, Final Destination 3 with the roller coaster, and then there was The Final Destination, and then there was Final Destination 5.
Are you sure there was Final Destination 5?
I'm like 90% sure. I'll look it up.
I'm on the Wikipedia page, so it should have that information on it. Oh, yeah. Final Destination 5. Look at that.
And it's certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, hot damn.
Holy, we might have to watch Final Destination 5.
All right. This is one of those things where it would not work as a Netflix / HBO series because, like, each episode would basically be like a single person dying or something like that, and I don't feel like that would work that well.
There would be a whole lot of really boring episodes, and I feel like the amount of time that even in like a 100-minute movie, the amount of time that they showed a shower head spinning around a guy's neck was even too much for a 100-minute movie. It would be way too much. They would have to spend like 5 minutes of this shower head spinning around Todd's neck if it was a series.
It's true.
That would be a pretty fucking badass scene, though. Like,
yeah,
if they had the bravery to do 5 minutes of the shower head. Like several gratuitous slow-mo shots of the water as it shoots out, as it makes another pass around his neck, and his lips start to turn blue. That would be really funny.
Exactly.
I'm kind of selling myself on this movie now.
All right. Well, that wraps up our questions that we go through. Let's move on to some unanswerable questions. My first one is, why does Clear's dad have a cabin a few miles away from his house?
I was thinking the same thing. I wrote, okay. Let's see. I wrote, how far away is the cabin that Alex was staying at? Because if he's going to be able to reach Clear in any reasonable amount of time, then it seems like that's not far enough away to be a proper getaway cabin. It seems like you just own 2 houses in the same town.
Yeah, that was weird. Because she literally says, my dad has a cabin a few miles from our house.
And like, Alex
So what was your dad taking
Clear.
his side things over there?
Yeah, like, is this just where maybe Clear's dad had 2 families, and one of the families died in a horrible accident?
Well, because didn't her dad like die?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
I wasn't paying that much attention. Clear's house was pretty fucking ghetto, though.
Yeah. So another potentially unanswerable question: why didn't the police question Alex more about?
They just let him go. I wrote. I was like, "There's no way this kid is going home that night." Like,
yeah,
he's screaming about, I mean, granted, this was pre 9/11, but like, he's screaming about it being about the plane is going to blow up. And then the plane blows up. And then a few hours later, the police are like, "Oh no, you're good. Go home." Like,
yeah.
What the fuck?
So another one, in the very beginning, I wrote down, "Are they in France?" And then I figured out, no, they were not in France. And so then my next question was, why the fuck were the announcements in French?
Why was everyone speaking French with a French accent?
Yeah, but all the announcements over the loudspeakers were in French too.
You're
in an airport in America, and all the announcements are in French.
This is America. You speak English.
Well, I'm just saying is how America tends to.
I agree. I
might get them in Spanish.
Thought. No, yeah, I had the same thought. Maybe Spanish, and that's like that makes sense. But I even made note. If they're still in the United States, why is everyone speaking French in a French accent?
Yeah, that I found very strange.
The one most realistic part about that is the fucking dickhead teacher speaking French. Because it's like, I get it, you're a French teacher, you're trying to teach them French. Don't fucking you just speak English to me, because I don't understand you. I'm learning.
Yeah, that's true.
High school teachers get off doing that.
That is very true. So then probably the last one that I have is, what the fuck was Alex eating in the cabin? Was it like lard or sterno? Or...
I thought it was pudding, maybe.
I could not tell. I was just like, are you just eating a can of lard?
It's Crisco, actually. Yeah, no, that didn't make sense. And Alex, like, he that scene especially did make him just seem really crazy. He's like talking to nobody, and he's just like, yeah, didn't anticipate that. You almost got me. And it's like, shut up and eat some more lard pudding, Alex.
That knife did almost get him in the face.
That's true. But I have an unanswerable question that is a question that 100% should be answered by this movie. And it's that, what the fuck was, like, what was happening? Like, I know what was happening, but what was happening to cause these things to happen? Like, was this death? Was this a spirit? Was this the universe? And one of our listeners that I spoke to, shout out to Gabby, I said, what the fuck? Like, what was happening in this movie? And she said, you got to watch the sequel. And I said, that shouldn't be a thing. Like,
no,
I should.
Yeah,
they were. If that's what they were banking on, that was a dumb fucking move.
Yeah, that's pretty terrible. Definitely.
Or
all right,
or maybe before the credits, they should have just written, "Hey, if you want any answers, come back and watch Final Destination 2 in 3 years."
They maybe should have done that.
Maybe I would have just switched right over to Final Destination 2 on Netflix immediately afterwards and been like, let's get some fucking answers.
But if you did that, then how would we have talked about this one?
Yeah, you got me. Good thing I didn't. Good thing that note wasn't in the credits.
Well, in the opening credits.
Hey, yeah, in the opening credits, that would have been an even more bold move. Hey,
skip this movie. Go watch the second one.
Just in case you're wondering, you're not going to get any fucking answers in this movie. So you got to watch Final Destination 2 as well. At least.
But they did clearly try to set that up with, like, the way that they had the last scene.
Oh, totally. They were, like, hungry for a sequel.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's move on to our favorite segment each week, which is borrowing from the Rewatchables on the Ringer Podcast Network, and it's half-assed internet research.
I'm excited for this week.
So I've kind of, since we always end up talking about box office stats, I've just moved that into that's going to be the first thing we talk about in the half-assed internet research every time now. So our budget for this film was $23 million.
That's a pretty modest budget, even for the time.
Yeah. And then opening weekend in the USA, which was March 19th of 2000, it did $10 million. which is probably not as good as they were hoping it would do. It probably would have done better if it had been like October or something, I would guess, just because.
Yeah, you said March?
Yeah, March seems like a weird. I mean, I guess it doesn't have like a. Since there's not a clear villain, it's not necessarily like a.
Action. I don't.
Like,
March is a weird time for any movie.
Yeah. I mean, that's when it sounds like Us. I think Us is coming out this year in March.
Oh, really? That's now.
Yeah, I believe that it's coming out very soon. So that's kind of a similar. And I think Get Out also came out in March. So it does seem like they do try to like they do some horror movie type things in the early type of the part of the year. And it's sort of ones where there's not like maybe so much a clear-cut villain, because the clear-cut villain probably works better in October.
Yeah, and I mean the clear-cut villain offers a much more defined conflict in a movie, which
like your I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah,
I'm sure that came out in October.
Yeah,
or maybe late September.
By the way, Us coming out on March 22nd.
Okay, yeah,
so that's
there
just
we go.
A few weeks away.
Yeah, and so it does seem like that does seem like it's going to be, while it is going to be kind of scary, I think it's going to be sort of suspenseful.
Yeah, very much a
same
thriller.
Way Get Out. Yeah, in the same way Get Out was. All right, so yeah, opening then in the USA, in total it grossed $53.3 million. Internationally, sorry.
No, keep going.
Internationally, it did $59 million.
So 53 and 59, $112 million on a $23 million budget. That's why movies like this get made.
Oh yeah, no, and that's why there were so many sequels.
5 of them. That's why there were 5 of them. It's
why it's why it became a franchise.
They just make gangbusters movies.
But it's funny because it's like this. It wasn't critically, it wasn't very successful. I didn't see anything about what Raj said about it this week or anything. But
friend of the show, rest in peace, Roger Ebert.
Yeah, exactly. But so it was a fairly successful movie overall, and that's why it spawned a franchise. Jeffrey Reddick is probably pretty stoked on the fact that it spawned that franchise, because he's the one who wrote the original idea. He has a spec script for the X-Files in order to get a TV agent. And I found that really interesting because at the end of my notes, I wrote down just some of my general thoughts. And the first one I wrote was, movie seems like a really long, underdeveloped episode of The X-Files, especially at the end.
Yeah, so that's actually, it's an interesting concept that it was originally being developed as an episode of The X-Files, because that would be a really fucking cool episode of The X-Files. Drop Mulder and Scully in there, I'm into it.
It was, apparently... he never submitted it because a colleague at New Line Cinema suggested that it could be a feature film. But then James Wong and Glenn Morgan, who were both writers for The X-Files, and they wrote episodes for The X-Files together, I guess became very interested in the script, and so they did some rewrites and agree, and that's when Wong came on to direct the film. And then, so there's a lot of X-Files
influence.
Yeah, definitely. And I thought that was interesting because I was like, there's a lot of this that started to feel like an episode of the X-Files.
Yeah, like a shitty knockoff version of the X-Files, because the X-Files is fucking badass.
Yeah, it's true.
But this movie was not.
So I also found an interesting quote from James Wong, the director, that was he said, "We want to do for planes and air travel what Jaws did for sharks and swimming."
What? No, that's such a stupid thing to say, because it's 4 minutes of the movie is on a plane.
Yeah. Weird quote. So Devon Sawa secured his role in the film when producer Glenn Morgan was blown away by his performance in the movie Idle Hands. In Idle Hands, he plays a guy whose hand gets possessed by a demon and kills his parents and his friends. I kind of really want to watch this movie, and I really wanted it to be our next movie for next week, but I couldn't find anywhere to watch it online very easily, and so I figured we'd put that one on the back burner for now. But
that's a biopic. That's a biopic of the Menendez brothers, right?
Or that fucking that restless or that fucking hand syndrome where like there's this like medical phenomenon that happens with people who have this surgery where it's if people who have like severe epilepsy, there's this surgery that they do sometimes where they like basically like clip part of the connection between the two sides of the brain, and so there's this syndrome phenomenon. It's a medical phenomenon that people can have where basically one hand is being controlled by one half of the brain and the other hand is being controlled by the other half of the brain. And so like I got very interested in this at one point in time, but the most interesting story that I found about it was like this woman was trying to smoke a cigarette, and so she would put a cigarette in her mouth and start to light it, and her other hand would take the cigarette out of her mouth and throw it away.
So she's half her brain was like, "Nah, bitch, that's bad for you.
You don't want to smoke. Yeah,
you're killing yourself."
Exactly. But yeah, now we're off in the weeds again. Also, Devon Sawa was the voice of Casper the Friendly Ghost.
That movie is really good. Christina Ricci, Bill Pullman.
I just love Christina Ricci.
I do, and
increased roles.
Ghostbusters cameo, Dan Aykroyd.
It's true. So Tony Todd, who played Candyman in the 1992 film Candyman, was cast as the mortician, William Bloodworth. Morgan initially wanted Todd for the role because he felt his deep voice would give the film an eerie tone. And I just made the note of, was this supposed to be death personified? And I think we came to the no, we think it was earlier. This one I actually found really interesting. I believe it because it would make sense, but I don't know. I didn't find that much about it on Wikipedia, but I did find this on IMDb. It said that Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst were originally cast as Alex and Claire, respectively.
I could totally see that because Tobey and Kirsten Dunst were hot shit back then.
Exactly. I was like, that would totally make sense. I could totally see that being the case. And but they were just like, no, this movie's not that great. And so then they were like, who's our poor man's Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst? And they were like, let's go with Ali Larter and fucking
some guy,
some Canadian fuck who voiced Casper.
Man, was he like the actual actor who played Casper when Casper came back to life?
Oh, he might have been, actually. I forgot about the fact that Casper comes back to life in that movie.
Most people do. Not this guy. Big Casper fan right here.
So the film extensively features the music of John Denver, who is a musician who died in a plane crash, famously.
Oh, that's where that connection comes from. They did not explain that.
No, they did not. They did not.
They weren't real concerned with explaining much.
No, they were not. All right. Well, that wraps up the discussion of Final Destination. But since we don't only watch bad movies and TV, let's talk about some of the stuff that we have genuinely enjoyed watching lately. Patrick, how about you?
So I, based on you reminded me of The Simpsons a couple weeks ago, and I have been going through season 2 of The Simpsons, and man, those early seasons of The Simpsons were so fucking funny. Like, just the way that they were written, the way that they were acted, there was so much that was so good about those shows, and the characters were... I'm not going to say, like, I don't like the characters now, because I still really like The Simpsons.
Mm-hmm.
But they were like such a pure form of those characters.
It's true.
That it's awesome to like go back to those older seasons and see how the characters were different back then.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, me personally, I'm gonna go see. So I haven't watched really anything. I've just been catching up on finishing stuff that I've been watching really now. So I'm just gonna go ahead and write that I am going to see Captain Marvel tomorrow, and I'm stoked for it.
All right.
I'm looking forward to it a lot. After the second trailer, I kind of just shut down on info about it because I already had decided that I was in to see it in theaters, and I haven't really been paying attention much to reviews or anything for the same reason. I'm just kind of I'm excited to see it. I like the '90s nostalgia vibe that it's gonna have, and I'm looking forward to it.
I heard that they really nailed the '90s look
and more Kree.
Yeah, so I heard that I heard that the look of the environments and the setting and the movie taking place in the 90s was really good.
Don't forget to check out our incredible website, coldnorthpro.com, where you can see everything we do in one place.
What a great website.
Listen to us weekly on our other gaming podcast, Hard Reset. This week we'll be talking about, I don't know what. Next time we'll be watching 2017's Transformers: The Last Night, directed by Michael Bay. See you next time, and don't forget, no refunds.